So, hello and welcome back to another evening with Ivanhoe. First things first, apologies. I did not get the schedule time thing on YouTube right last night. So, last night's chapter went up an hour and a half late, which I didn't realize until I was doing something else and I looked over at my dashboard and I was like, wait, why didn't Ivanhoe go up? I scheduled it, and then it turned out I had actually scheduled it for tonight instead of last night. So hopefully this doesn't happen to this chapter. I like to have predictable schedule. I mean, I guess it's not 100% necessary. I don't know how many people actually watch or listen to the chapter when it goes live, but I like to be predictable. Yeah. Anyway, we have another beautiful day. I did some laundry this morning and it is out on the line. I'm going to be sad when it's winter and I can't just hang clothes out on the line and have them be dry an hour or two later. I know a lot of people prefer a dryer, and sometimes I miss having a dryer, but 90% of the time, especially in the summer, it's almost faster to hang it out. And that way you get the nice whole fresh air smell, which is bad if somebody is burning something nearby, but then your clothes just kind of smell like wood smoke, which isn't the worst smell, I guess. Anyway, none of that has anything to do with Ivanhoe, where we had a challenge issued. Evidently, Wamba and Girth are going to storm the castle? Question mark. With Wamba the Fool pretending to be a holy man. This should be interesting and possibly comical. But before we can get into the chapter, we have another quote, and this one just says old song. So I guess we're going to read an old song. Don't expect me to sing it because singing voice not good, even though I do sing all the time. I won't inflict that on you. The hottest horse will oft be cool, the dullest will show fire. The friar will often play the fool will play the friar. Old song. I guess that's fairly true. Anyway, after that quote, it is time to jump back into Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, and we are reading chapter 26. When the jester, arrayed in the cowl and frock of the hermit, and having his knotted cord twisted round his middle, stood before the portal of the castle of Fondeboeuf, the warder demanded of him his name and errand. Pax vobiscum, said the jester. I am a poor brother of the order of St. Francis, who come hither to do my office to certain unhappy prisoners now inside the castle. Thou art a bold friar, said the warder, to come hither, where, saving our own drunken confessor, a cock of thy feather hath not crowed these last 20 years. Yet I pray thee, do mind errand to the lord of the castle, said the pretend friar. Trust me, it will find good acceptance with him, and the cock shall crow that the whole castle shall hear him. Gramercy, said the warder, but if I come to shame for leaving my post upon thine errand, I will try whether a friar's grey gown be proof against a grey goose-shafted arrow. And with this threat he left his turret, and carried to the hall of the castle his unwonted intelligence that a holy friar stood before the gate and demanded instant admission. With no small wonder, he received his master's command to admit the holy man immediately, and having previously banned the entrance to guard against surprise, he obeyed without further scruple the commands which he had received. The harebrained self-conceit, which had emboldened Wamba to undertake this dangerous job, was scarce sufficient to support him when he found himself in the presence of a man so dreadful and so dreaded as Reginald Front de Bœuf, and he brought out his Pax Vobiscum, which he in good measure trusted for supporting his character, with more anxiety and hesitation than had accompanied it before now. But Front de Bœuf was accustomed to see men of all ranks trembling in his presence, so the timidity of the supposed friar did not give him any cause of suspicion. "Who and whence art thou, priest?" he said. "Pax Vobiscum," said the jester. "I am a poor servant of St. Francis, who, traveling through this wilderness, have fallen among thieves, as Scripture hath it, quidem victor indictit in latronis, which thieves have sent me unto this castle in order to do my ghostly office on 2 persons condemned by your honorableness." "Oh, aye," said Front de Bœuf. "And canst thou tell me, holy father, the number of these bandits?" "Gallant sir," said the jester, "nomen illius legio. Their name is Legion." "Tell me in plain terms what their numbers are, or, priest, your cloak and cord will not protect you." "Alas," said the supposed friar, "cor menem victi, that is to say, I was like to burst with fear, but I conceive they may be, what of yeomen, what of commons, at least 500 men." "What?" said the Templar, who came into the hall at that moment. "Muster the wasps so thickly here? It is time to stifle such a mischievous brood." Then, pulling Front de Bœuf aside, he said, "Do you know that priest?" "He's a stranger from a distant convent," said Front de Bœuf. "I don't know him." "Then don't trust him with your purpose," said the Templar. "Let him carry a written order to De Bracy's company of free companions to repair instantly to their master's aid. In the meantime, and that the shaveling may suspect nothing, permit him to go freely about his task of preparing these Saxon hogs for slaughter." "It shall be so," said Front de Bœuf. And he then appointed a domestic to conduct Wamba to the apartment where Cedric and Athelstine had been confined. The impatience of Cedric had been rather enhanced than diminished by his confinement. He walked from one end of the hall to the other with the attitude of one who advances to charge an enemy or to storm the breach of a beleaguered place, sometimes speaking to himself, sometimes addressing Athelstine, who stoically awaited the issue of the adventure, digesting meanwhile with great composure the meal which he had made at noon, and not really interested about the duration of his captivity, which he concluded would, like all earthly evils, find an end in God's good time. "Pax vobiscum," said the jester, as he entered the apartment. "The blessing of St. Dunstan, St. Dennis, St. Dothlock, and all the other saints whatsoever be upon and about ye." "Enter freely," said Cedric to the supposed friar. "With what intent are you coming here?" "To bid you to prepare yourselves to die," said the jester. "That's impossible," said Cedric. "Fearless and wicked as they are, they dare not attempt such open, gratuitous cruelty." "Alas," said the jester, "to restrain them by their sense of humanity is the same as stopping a runaway horse with a bridle of silk. Bethink thee, therefore, noble Cedric, that, and you also, gallant Athelstine, think ye what crimes you have committed in the flesh, for this very day will you be called to answer at a higher tribunal." "Do you hear this, Athelstine?" said Cedric. We must rouse up our hearts to this last action, since better it is that we die like men than live like slaves." "I'm ready," said Athelstein, "to stand the worst of their malice, and shall walk to my death with as much composure as I ever walked to dinner." "Let us go then, and on to our holy gear, father," said Cedric. "Wait yet a moment, good uncle," said the jester in his natural voice. "Better look long before you leap in the dark." "By my faith," said Cedric, "I should know that voice." "It is that of your trusty slave and jester," said Wamba, now throwing back his cowl. "Had you taken a fool's advice formerly, you would not be here at all. Take a fool's advice now, and you will not be here long." "What do you mean, knave?" said the Saxton. "This," said Wamba. "Take this frock and cord, which are all the orders I ever had, and march quietly out of the castle, leaving me your cloak and girdle to take the long leap in your place." "Leave you in my stead?" said Cedric, astonished at this. "Why, they would hang you, poor knave." "Even let them do as they are permitted," said Wamba. "I trust, no disparagement to your birth, that the son of Witless may hang in a chain with as much gravity as a chain hung upon the ancestor the alderman." "Well, Wamba," said Cedric, "for one thing will I grant your request, and that is, if thou will make the exchange of garments with Lord Athelstein instead of me." "No, no, by St. Dunstan," said Wamba. "There were little reason in that. Good right there is that the son of the witless should suffer to save the son of Hereward, but little wisdom there is in his dying for the benefit of one whose fathers were strangers." "Villain," said Cedric, "the fathers of Athelstein were monarchs of England." "They might be whoever they pleased," said Wamba, "but my neck stands too straight upon my shoulders to be twisted for their sake. Wherefore, my good master, either take my offer yourself, or suffer me to leave this dungeon as freely as I entered." "Let the old tree wither," said Cedric, "so the stately hope of the forest be preserved. Save Athelstein, Wamba. It is the duty of each who has Saxon blood in his veins. You and I will abide together the utmost rage of our oppressors, while he, free and safe, shall arouse the spirits of our countrymen to avenge us." "Not so, Cedric," said Athelstein, gripping Cedric's hand, for when roused to think or act, his deeds and sentiments were not unbecoming to his high race. "Not so," he continued. "I would rather remain in this hall a week without food, save for a prisoner's stinted loaf, or any drink save a prisoner's measure of water, than embrace the opportunity to escape which the slave's kindness has gotten for his master." "You are called wise men, sirs," said Wamba, "and I a crazed fool, but Uncle Cedric and Cousin Athelstein, the fool shall decide this controversy for you, and save you the trouble of straining courtesies any farther. I am like Jonaduck's mare, that will let no man mount her but Jonaduck. I came to save my master, and if he will not consent, basta, I can but run away home again. Kind service cannot be chuckled from hand to hand like a shuttlecock or a football. I'll hang for no man but my own noble-born master." "Go on then, noble Cedric," said Athelstein. "Neglect not this opportunity. Your presence out there may encourage friends to our rescue. Staying here would ruin it all. Is there Any prospect of rescue from outside? Said Cedric. Prospect indeed, said Wamba. Let me tell you, when you fill my cloak, you are wrapped in a general's cassock. 500 men are out there, and I was this morning one of their leaders. My fool's cap was a cask, my bauble a truncheon. Well, we shall see what good they will make by exchanging a fool for a wise man. Truly, I fear they will lose in valor what they gain in discretion. And so farewell, master, and be kind to poor Girth and his dog Fangs, and let my coxcomb hang in the hall at Rotherwood in memory that I flung away my life for my master like a faithful fool. That last word came out with a sort of double expression, somewhere between joking and earnest. Tears stood in Cedric's eyes. Thy memory shall be preserved, he said. Well, fidelity and affection have honor upon this earth, but that I trust I shall find the means of saving Rowena, and you, Athelstein, and also you, Wamba. You should not overbear me right now. And so the exchange of dress was now accomplished, when doubt struck Cedric. I know no language but my own, he said, and a few words of their mincing Norman. How shall I bear myself like a reverend brother? The spell lies in but 2 words, said Wamba. Pax vobiscum will answer all queries. If you come or go, eat or drink, bless or ban, Pax vobiscum carries you through it all. It is as useful to a friar as a broomstick to a witch or a wand to a conjurer. Speak it but thus, in a deep, grave voice, Pax vobiscum. It's irresistible. Watch and ward, knight and squire, foot and horse, it acts as a charm upon them all. I think if they bring me out to be hanged tomorrow, as is much to be doubted that they may, I will try its weight upon the finisher of the sentence. If such proves the case, said Cedric, my religious orders are soon taken. Pax vobiscum. I trust I shall remember the password. Noble Athelstein, farewell, and farewell, my poor boy, whose heart makes amends for your weak head. I will save you, or return and die with you. The royal blood of our Saxon kings shall not be spilt while mine is still in my veins, nor shall one hair fall from the head of the kind knave who has risked himself for his master, if Cedric's peril can prevent it. Farewell. Farewell, noble Cedric, said Athelstein. Remember, it is the true part of a friar to accept refreshment if you're offered any. Farewell, uncle, said Wamba. And remember, Pax vobiscum. Thus reminded, Cedric sallied forth upon his expedition, and it was not long that he had occasion to try the force of that spell which his jester had recommended as being all-knowing. In a low-arched, dusky passage, by which he endeavored to work his way to the hall of the castle, he was interrupted by a female form. Pax vobiscum, said the pseudo-friar, and was endeavoring to hurry past, when a voice replied, Et vobis, quesco, domini reverendissime, pro misidora vestra. I'm somewhat deaf, said Cedric, in good Saxon, and at the same time muttered to himself, a curse on the fool and his pax vobiscum. I've lost my javelin at the first cask. It was, however, no unusual thing for a priest in those days to be deaf of his Latin ear, and this the person who now addressed Cedric knew well. I pray of you, dear love, reverend father, she replied in his language, that you will deign to visit with your ghostly comfort, a wounded prisoner of this castle, and have such compassion upon him as your holy office teaches. Never shall a good deed so highly advantage your convent." "Daughter," said Cedric, very much embarrassed, "my time in this castle will not permit me to exercise the duties of my office. I must go. There is life and death upon my speed." "Yet, father, let me entreat you by the vow you have taken upon you," said the woman, "not to leave the oppressed and endangered without counsel." "May the fiend fly away with me, and leave me in Ifrin with the souls of Odin and Thor," said Cedric, somewhat impatient, and he probably would have proceeded in the same tone of total departure from his supposed spiritual character, when he was interrupted by the harsh voice of Ulfride, the old crone of the turret. "How, minion," she said to the female speaker, "is the manner in which you requite the kindness which permitted you to leave your prison cell? Put you, the reverend man, to use ungracious language to free himself from the clutches of a Jew?" "A Jew?" said Cedric, availing himself of the information to get clear of their interrupter. "Let me pass, woman. Stop me not at your peril. I am fresh from my holy office, and I would not prefer to be polluted by you." "Come this way, father," said the old hag. "Thou art a stranger in this castle, and cannot leave without a guide. Come here, for I would speak with you. And you, daughter of an accursed race, go to the sick man's chamber and tend him until I return, and woe betide you if you again leave without my permission." Rebecca, for that's who it was, retreated. Her pleadings had prevailed upon Ulfrid to suffer her to leave the turret, and Ulfrid had employed her services where she herself would most gladly have paid them, at the bedside of the wounded Ivanhoe. With an understanding awake to their dangerous situation, and prompt to avail herself of every means of safety that happened, Rebecca had hoped something from the presence of a man of religion, who, she learned from Ulfrid, had penetrated into this godless castle. She watched the return of the supposed ecclesiastic, hoping to speak to him and interesting him in the favor of the prisoners, with what imperfect success the reader has just now learned. And that is the end of the chapter. That was an interesting argument between Wamba and Cedric. I don't think prisoner exchange or prisoner disguises really work kind of that way. I'm sorry, I don't think just putting on a friar tuck outfit is going to actually work, or that it's going to fit everybody, unless we're supposed to believe that everybody is the same height. I doubt that. But I guess we'll finally get to meet Ivanhoe. Finally. At least a little bit. More than him just praying before jousting. I don't know. Anyway, I think tomorrow is going to be one of the really long chapters, so thankfully this one wasn't quite as long, thankfully for me, because I've got to get it uploaded before tonight. So thank you as always for listening. Please do hit the thumbs up on your way out. It does always make me smile. And I'll see you tomorrow.